What's up guys, lunch break here at the shop. I wasn't going to make a video on this car, but being that LS swap four-wheel drives has sort of been the flavor of 2022 on the channel, and I think there are a lot of people now watching the channel that, you know, came into it because of LS swap four-wheel drives, and we've run into a few things that I think are just, I suppose, interesting to explain with this vehicle that has come in for a tune. So, absolutely lovely vehicle. GU, really nice KMC wheels. This thing just looks off tap. It was built at some point by LS Conversions. There's a build number and everything. It's honestly quite tidy at the start. If you look underneath all of the gross wiring, fix-ups and bodge jobs and stuff, it's all quite tidy. Someone's done a really good job of the shifter install inside. Like this is quite a nice rig. So the owner actually bought this from New South Wales, and he got it real cheap because they thought it had a rod knock, which it turned out wasn't a rod knock. It actually turned out to be a cracked flex plate. So he got a flex plate off us, sorted that out, got out of that awesome. Motor seems to be sweet, not a problem with the motor. That's wicked. But we've run the numbers on the engine. The engine is a 2006 L98, so it's an early engine. The gearbox, we actually got the numbers off the gearbox, and it's from a 2011 L77 car, which means it's one of the good gearboxes. It's quite strong, which is awesome. So as we know, not all 6L80s are the same. The early ones were a lot worse off than the later ones, and the later ones, they hold up a lot better to power, and particularly moving big, heavy four-wheel drives. So, you know, it's a pretty good combination of things. He's done very well to get it for the price, considering the fix-up was quite simple. But we're running through a few things that are having issues with straight off the bat, which you can see, and it's just good for people for their memory bank for data. So, as you can see here, we've got a high mount alternator. From what I can tell from this conversion, it's all early Mark stuff. So it was built, I think, in 2017. So it all appears to be Mark stuff, which we, for the most part, are quite happy with their gear. We reckon it's really good quality. So, you know, honestly, for what he got it for, we're good. But anyway, we've got a Gen 4 alternator here. So this is an alternator out of a VE. And what these have is a variable regulator, which is controlled by the body control module in the Commodore. And the issue we have when you put them in four-wheel drives is they basically lose the ability to do this properly, and they charge all over the place. They have issues charging, which you can look, it looks like someone's tried to rectify by changing this wiring and screw around. But the easiest way to rectify this problem is to swap this unit out with an earlier LS1 alternator, you know, from a third gen Commodore. They just have a regular old regulator. They just do their charge thing. They don't have to, you know, there's no F-type resistance change regulator variable or anything like that. And that's the easiest way to sort around that problem. But you can see someone's tried to sort that out. Now, it's interesting that the motor is early and the gearbox is late, and the OS that's on the ECU that's in this car is 2009. So none of it really matches. But he was saying that the engine number on this engine didn't match the engineer's papers that he got with the car. So obviously, it appears at some point they've had issues with the engine that was in the car, and they've swapped in this one just to do a clean swap, right? Sounds simple, but the problem you have is that 2009, which is the OS that's on the ECU, there were quite a few changes to the earlier, this being a 2006 engine. Most notably, the map sensor. So this early 2006 map sensor is just a 1 bar. The later one, which would have been paired with this ECU on the original engine, is a 1.5. So it means 1.15. Yeah. Either way, it's different. That's the main thing. Which means it has a different calibration for different scaling for the map. And what we're seeing in this car is because someone's just swapped this engine in and hooked everything back up, the map sensor scaling is all out. So at wide open throttle, this thing reckons it's doing 120 kPa, which for an aspirated car is just not happening. And so it's over fueling. Way too much fuel. It's crazy. The tune in it is, it's obviously, we don't think it's ever actually been dyno tuned. Someone's just whacked the tune in this thing after the conversion and off it went. And obviously, after changing a few of these things, a lot of problems. So the other thing is, you can see back here, the wiring for the oil pressure sensor. So obviously this loom and ECU being 2009, it would have had a late style oil pressure sensor. And because the engine was 2006, it's got an early style. And all they've done is try and cut and rejoin the wiring. And they've done a terrible job. And they mixed up some pins. And so now the oil pressure reads all over the place. It's all backwards, upside down. It's terrible. So a few interesting things there. Basically, the owner bought it, changed the flex plate. He's really happy with it. It's just that it drives like crap. And he was just hoping a tune would fix it, and he was right. So not only is all the drivability things in the tune, all the part throttle stuff just absolutely a mess. It's horrific. This is your wide open tune. It's off the scale, just bottoming out, so rich. Even when it comes back up after it drops into some of this virtual speed density, after it runs out of MAF or whatever it's doing, it's still rich as. That's like 11/8. That's like boosted AFR territory. So obviously this thing would be using heaps of fuel. It's driving like crap, it wants to stall. The tune's just dog crap. Anyway, that was just our before runs. We're gonna get rid of the MAF. Just put a tube in here, replace the MAF with an intake air temp sensor. You know, everything you need to do to go MAFless. We'll put the right calibration in for this map sensor. We're gonna leave the oil pressure and stuff. We're gonna swap out the alternator. Basically, we're just gonna fix everything we need to get the tune done. And the owner is actually a mechanic, he's quite handy himself. So it's only because we're quite a way away from him that we're just gonna do everything we need to do to get the tune finished so that he doesn't have to worry about driving all this way and then driving back all this way. Anything that we don't need to fix in order to complete the tune, he's gonna sort out when he gets it back. So just a few things that I just wanted to point out for people to look out for. The other thing is we're having issues with the knock sensors in this thing being very sensitive. They're picking up knock, even on idle, they reckon it's knocking. The wiring for the knock sensors is just not good at all. So we need to sort out them. We're probably gonna change the knock sensor plugs over and fix the wiring under there and get that sorted for him. But anyway, all in all, we get this stuff fixed, get this thing tuned properly so it's driving properly and not running 11.8 to 1 AFR at wide open throttle, because that's just ridiculous. But overall, the owner's done very well for himself out of this car. For what he paid for it, and for what he's had to fix and get it tuned and, you know, doing the flex plate and stuff, there is absolutely no way in hell that he could have built this car for that money. So he's done really well. It's a really nice car, but yeah, we'll have a look. We'll get this stuff changed over, fix a few wiring things, and we'll see what we can actually get out of this thing. So it appears to just have a stock cam in it. We're pretty sure it's just a stock L98 at this point. We don't think it's cammed. And, you know, big, heavy 35s and big 35s. They're wide, very, very big tires. So if it goes 250, 260, we'll be happy. But yeah, mostly just the important thing is that he'll be able to start it and drive it even when it's cold. It won't stall, and it won't use about a million litres of fuel, so yeehaw. Righto, so this would definitely explain the issue we're getting with the knock. There is just, this looks like it's actually been on fire to me. There's just no sheathing, that's all exposed. That is definitely going to cause some dramas, so. Righto guys, all sorted. Surprisingly, this thing doesn't really leak any oil either. It's honestly, this thing with the tight out, it's gonna be, yeah, it's awesome what he's done here, what he's managed to do. So we managed to borrow a alternator from a another car to get the tune done, and that's just going to allow us to pretty much finish the tune off while it was on the dyno. We'll be able to spend a bit of time today getting the road tune done, getting the gearbox tune done, which obviously for a 6L80 and anything is very important, let alone a four-wheel drive. And then obviously, hopefully, the new alternator should be here before he has to pick it up, and we're going to swap it out, but the tune will be finished. So, new alternator plug, LS1 alternator plug, alternator, knock sensor wiring was all fixed up, so that's all sorted. We made this little piece to replace the MAF, so we're all happy days. That's all sorted. So the tune, freaking night and day difference. Yeah, what we actually ended up doing was taking the lid off the airbox, and because Rex noticed that at full throttle, it was actually pulling like 96 kPa. Oh, sorry, 90 kPa instead of 96. So you could see that it was starting to drop off, starting to go into vacuum. So that was a restriction, and we pulled the lid off the airbox, and that sorted it out. So this is before 230 horsepower. You saw this. This was the AFR. It was disgustingly rich, like outrageously rich. That's just gross. And this is how it's leaving with a much nicer AFR and a lot more power. So this is with the airbox lid off. With the airbox lid on, I think it went 250.
252.
252. There you go. 252, that's with the airbox lid on. So happy either way. Just he knows that that's how much that, obviously that intake into the airbox is restricting the setup. But either way, it's gonna be night and day difference to drive. It's gonna be night and day difference economy-wise.
Well, in this, when I had the torque curves up before, we've gone this stupid thing here, whatever this weird transition here was, at that point, like from there, that massive dip, like this area here where you're kind of pulling along, that's 20%.
Yeah.
It's like 275-ish to 325 is an extra 50 foot-pound. That's like 20% nearly.
Yeah, and it's right at sort of loading it up off cruise. Like it's going to make such a big difference driving.
Yeah, like,
so
very different. We didn't drive it beforehand, so we're not going to know. But like I said, I'd be interested to see what he reckons once he.
Oh, it's going to be
once he takes it.
The fuel economy, the drivability, it's going to be night and day. It's going to be so much better. So anyway, we'll get this gearbox tuning done, and hey, he's coming to pick it up this weekend, and I think we're going to be super happy with it. We're pretty like that's 270 from what we assumed was just a stock L98 on these huge 35s. That's pretty. That's staunch.
That's not bad.
That's pretty wild. That's a lot of power for what this thing is. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, we'll get this gearbox tuning done. So I always say to people, I'm a huge fan of this combination in a Patrol, like a 6 litre with a 6L80. Ever since we built that GQ that time, they just drive so nice. They get really good fuel economy. The 6-speed's awesome. Heaps of gears. They just really are nice to drive. You don't need heaps of power. So yeah, we'll go sort out this gearbox tune. Rex has just left the tune that was in it for now, so we'll see how bad that is first, and then we'll go flash it. And
it didn't look that bad.
Just a few things we're going to change.
Yeah.
All right, so it's got some weird flares on shift changes, and it's holding second and third and fourth all probably way too long, we reckon, for what it is.
Typical Patrol death wobbles.
So it's not too bad, but yeah, it could be a lot better. It's going to be a lot better, so. All right, so much better. Show you just when we go around this corner and go up this hill, but shifting much more appropriate for a four-wheel driver now.
Just let it roll on and forth.
The old fourth gear roll on. So I'll just come to a stop here, almost. We're back to first?
Yeah, it's first.
All right, so I can show you just going through the gears, but a second. They're just so nice. This combo is just so nice to drive. And if you put the turbo in this thing to make 400 horsepower, that's all you need when you got a 6-speed. It's gonna be so cool. So it's one thing we've always talked about doing, is getting one of the good 6L80s so that you could turbo one. And you don't need to make heaps of power, somewhere between 400 or 500 horsepower, and the thing would just be, it'd still be a weapon. You look at it what our cruiser does with the 4L80 at 500 horsepower. But, with 6 gears and a bit more torque, it'd be skits. But anyway, maybe one day we'll do it. maybe this guy will do it soon and we'll be able to show you, but I'll be very jealous. Righto guys, getting closer. Still gonna spend a little bit more time on it though. The owner also, as well as the idle, wants us to sort out the limiter. He really wants it to bop so we can go bopping up the beach, which is always fun. So we'll sort that out, so a few more things out. Revisit the box tune a bit more and go for another drive a bit later on. But all in all, that's the L98 6L80e there, pretty much sorted. So with a bit of a tidy up, like I said, the owner's done really well out of that deal for that car for what it is, and I'm very jealous. I really do like that as a combination. It's really awesome. I mean, we've got a 6L80 and a 6 litre over there, but you know, it's one of those things. The 6L80 that we've got's not one of the boxes that that you'd turbo. It'd be good in an aspirated one, but it's not one of the real good ones that you'd be happy to throw a turboed 6 litre in front of it. But you know, they are just a really good combo. I like them. But anyway, I'll stick to my TB48 for now. If I ever get to it, thanks for watching anyway, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out. See you. Bye.